And we are live. Long time no see, YouTube people. Let's. Good morning from Brazil. I'm here with Gadget from Australia. And Gadget, I met him on Twitter. We've been on several Twitter spaces. And the subject of it was always Andrew Tate. Everybody knows that I have been an Andrew Tate fan, and that has changed ever since I found uh, the honest truth about him and the evidence that led to for me to completely change my perspective about him. So hello Gadget, how are you doing?
Hello, I am good. Nice to join you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Can you please introduce yourself so my listeners can know about you a bit?
Yeah, sure. So I've been pretty busy campaigning against Andrew Tate since July. I've kind of got involved since then. I guess to explain how I got involved with this, I became chronically ill in January of 2022, post-COVID. So I have long
Mm-hmm.
COVID and a condition called POTS. So a disclaimer, if I have to stop and catch my breath and have a drink, that will be why. But that being chronically ill during that time kind of made me chronically online during that time. So the timing wise, I
Yeah.
guess, yeah, I very much saw in real time. First, when Andrew Tate popped up, which when I
Mm-hmm.
first saw him, I thought this is the silliest, funniest kind of alpha male guy we've had so far. He was just, I guess, it's just his silly TikTok clips that were.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah. How did you get to hear about him? Was it on TikTok then?
no, because I'm not really a big TikTok guy. Maybe I'm a bit too old for
Mm-hmm.
TikTok. I don't know, but I just several podcasts I watch. Particularly the
Okay.
H3 podcast was featuring him, and
Oh.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
they were very early on in, I guess, calling him out as a potential sex trafficker, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where I kind of was introduced to him and what he's about, and then I just, like I said, being so online and um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just on my phone a lot, out of being stuck, I
Yeah.
guess, inside. I just really just saw the rise of Andrew Tate in real time, and I think a lot of people just
Mm-hmm.
aren't aware of how intense it is, especially people that are maybe older, my age or older, or people that haven't grown up with social media don't have the concept of just how ridiculously
Mm-hmm.
widespread it is everywhere.
Mm-hmm. So when was the year that you first heard of Andrew Tate, Gadget?
I believe it would have been late 2021, early 2022. It was around when you might
Okay.
have seen the interview with Your Mama's House and Tom Segura.
Mm-hmm.
Around the time he popped up on there, and really I thought it was just a silly over the
Mm-hmm.
top alpha male guy that we were all going to make fun of for a month and he was going to go away. That's what it felt like to me, and obviously that was very far from what ended up happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you created a fundraising, right? And two petitions, correct? Can you start explaining to us about the fundraiser? Sorry, my apology.
That's okay. Yeah. So the fundraiser. So with, I guess, to start in order of just to explain how I got into the fundraiser. It originally
Okay.
started with the Real World petition.
Mhm.
Really, I remember it happening, and I just really want Andrew and Tristan to hear this in a room together. I've said this in spaces a few times, but
Mhm.
Andrew,
I
if you ever
remember.
hear this, it's Tristan's fault that I did what I'm doing because he blocked me and I got annoyed. And I decided to make a thread on Twitter because the program The Real World, which I'd better explain a bit more in a minute.
Mhm.
I was pretty just with my time online and seeing this all happen. I was aware of The Real World and how it seemed like a scam, whether it was an MLM scheme or a pyramid scheme. And when Tristan
Mhm.
blocked me, I got annoyed and said, "Oh, I'm going to make a thread about The Real World." I started doing research about The
Okay.
Real World and looking at some content and the promotional content for a thread. And my mind was blown. I was shocked by seeing far more
Mhm.
than I thought how much it was targeted at really young boys, like 12, 13, 14-year-old boys, and recruiting them into what looks like a pyramid scheme. Uh,
Mhm. It is. It is a pyramid scheme.
well,
Totally.
uh, in my opinion, it is. I'll put it that way.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's when I felt compelled to do something, and I started my petition. I hadn't really connected with anyone. I didn't really have much of a presence on Twitter, or I hadn't connected with any of the people I have now, like yourself and others.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just started this petition and thought that
You
this
mentioned
was just
12-year-old 12-year-olds?
yeah. Okay, I should explain what the real world is a bit, shouldn't I, and why this is such a problem,
Mhm.
just for
It
some people
is.
might not be aware. Okay, so the real world is Andrew Tate's program that he sells to young men and young boys. And so the way it's sold, he says he will teach people to get rich and break free from the matrix with 18 modern
Mhm.
wealth methods he's going to teach them. So the modern wealth methods are ways to make money online. So he says he'll teach you how to do crypto, drop shipping, stocks, so things like that you can make money with online. He says, I've got millionaire professors that are going to teach you how to get rich and you'll make all your family and generations rich. So that's what he sells,
Mhm.
okay? So of all these wealth methods that he calls them, the one that is a big problem that the program
Mhm.
seems to rely on is what's called the affiliate campus. And so what this is where he gets the guys to so they'll give content, so they'll give them clips, and they'll say you're going to make videos about Andrew Tate, or these days it's on TikTok, other people in his orbit, and you're going to use these videos to recruit more people into the real world.
Like your fundraiser. I had no idea that that was the reason why you created a fundraiser gadget.
Yes. So the fundraiser, to be clear, it's 4 of his alleged victims in the UK. So that's what the
Mhm.
fundraiser is for. So when I was investigating the real world, I was looking into whether it was legally a pyramid scheme or not, because I believed it was based on my research, but I'm not a lawyer, of course. So
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, so before I even said I think it's a pyramid scheme online, I wanted to speak to a lawyer or have someone look at my evidence. So that's when I connected with McHugh Jury and Partners, Matthew Jury, who represents the 4 women in the UK who say that Andrew Tate assaulted them in
Mhm.
2013 and 2014. And he looked at my evidence of the real world and said that he agrees that it meets the criteria to be criminally investigated as a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. My opinion is that that's a pyramid scheme. Uh, I think it's very difficult to deny that, you know. And I'm very, very sorry about the victims of Andrew Tate. How did you get to know the victims, Gadget?
Well, so the victims in the UK, so I haven't got to know them personally. I guess I got to know their representation. I got to know Matthew Jury and his team quite well. So I've been
Mhm.
working. So they were very supportive and helpful with my investigations into the real world and getting the app for the real world removed from Apple and Google. So Matthew Jury and his team were very helpful with that. So on top of my petition that has 20,000 signatures, Matthew and his firm sent letters to Apple and Google expressing concern over the real world and what it was doing. So that was a big win as far as getting those apps
Yeah.
removed. Yeah.
No, that was a massive win. Congratulations on that, because the reason why I say that is many people are out there just talking, and you guys are doing things, you know. Of course, they're gonna cry on the internet. Oh, we're getting canceled. Like the first time I heard another red flag that I remember was when he mentioned that his bank uh, banned that he lost his account, and that everybody should have a red flag on that. If your bank,
Hmm.
removes you or whatever, you know, there's something wrong with you, don't you think?
Well, the Matrix hasn't cancelled any of my friends' banks, uh,
Neither mine.
so I think that is a red
Yeah,
flag.
it is a massive red flag. But please tell us about your petition now.
Yeah, so the petition now, so because we were successful in um, giving Apple and Google the information they needed to make the right decision, as far as removing the
Mm-hmm.
real world. So, because I should mention, we
Awesome.
touch on this, but I should emphasize as well that the real world and the promotion material targets children. Search the real world on TikTok, you'll see endless videos of Justin Waller and associates of Andrew Tate saying, "Oh, we've got 13-year-olds that are getting so rich, they're making more money than their teachers and parents." It's like this isn't advertising for a 30-year-old. This is targeting children.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
uh,
much so. And
yeah.
how do the parents know about it?
It's it's interesting. So because I've one from reading lots of comments, I've spoken to a lot of young guys who some have been still in the program, but I've had many reach out that were in the real world and had a bad experience. So it's really a
Mm-hmm.
combination of one very young. They're all vulnerable in some way, mostly. So
Yeah.
there's one just children. There's a lot of even young men. So there's not all underage kids, but there's also young guys who have come from very poor backgrounds, third world countries.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken to a few guys that came into my space. One that was still a fan, but he spoke very openly, and he had I think it was
Mm-hmm.
addict parents or broken homes. So these are the desperate people, and the promotion is very much
Mm-hmm.
geared to exploit that.
Yeah. 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 They definitely target desperate people, you know, uh, all over the world. It's very nice that I got to know you, because I had absolutely no idea about that, ab- about this real world thing, about, you know, I think it's horrible. I think it's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah, and I should mention as well, and I've had a lot of sources that have been like long term and key members of
Mm-hmm.
this program as well that have since realized some things were wrong and left and have given me information. Um, so in this affiliate
Mm-hmm.
program where these kids are used to recruit other kids, so the numbers I've been given are upwards of 80% of these guys are under 18. So between 12 and 18 years old is the majority of these
My
kids.
God, that's
Yeah,
horrible.
and they're made to they're worked and just they're basically really pushed to work every minute that they're awake. So they're working 16 hours a day. So there's serious child labor issues as well.
Uh, can
It's a
you?
big problem. It's a big problem, and
It
I'm
is.
very. I've tried getting YouTube, and there's still being it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Reddit,
My
X.
God.
They're still allowing recruitment links, recruitment videos to these programs. So yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
problem. It's a big problem.
It's a big problem. It's like a never-ending scam business, right? And imagine the things that we don't know yet as well, because I had no idea about this real life, and I'm learning now. And it's like it's they exploit women, they exploit people. I can say that when I used to exchange emails with them, because they send these emails that it's for everybody. And when you reply to them, they start asking, they ask how much you make. And I don't know how people reply to that, you know. Uh, I know that they know what people share with them, you know. If you share uh, a certain number, they will know how desperate you are. And imagine this happening to kids. How I don't even have a word for that, in my opinion. You know,
Mm.
I think
It's
that's very
yeah,
sickening.
yeah.
You know,
You want to email list, and they were asking, can you please send how much money you make? I was curious about the context of that.
they always ask how much money, how much answer this. Then they write like five. I probably have these emails. I can screenshot them to you. How much how much money do you make? And then they go, oh, you make like $500. Pay it 1,000 to join. It's something like this. But these emails, they used to make many questions. How old are you? Where do you live? So they know where their people are from. They know and they know what people share with them. Not It cannot be necessarily the truth, but they do know what people are sharing. And as I said,
Finally,
on
yeah.
an email, it's very, very easy for a person to write everything they want.
And how long ago were these? I find this very interesting because it seems pretty
Hmm.
clear what they're doing with these questions and these emails, because they're looking
Of
for people to
course.
get into the programs, or women to get into what they're getting women into.
I believe those are aimed at most men, because they were looking for war room customers and Hustler University customers as well. You know, one thing I can tell you is that on my Instagram account, I used to receive some DMs uh, that were like, "Oh, do you want a sugar daddy? I can be your sugar daddy," or something like that. I can't tell if it was them or not, but after they disappeared from the internet, from Instagram, I stopped receiving those,
Hmm.
you know, because I used to follow him there as well. I have the screenshots and I can share them with you. I
Yeah,
can also
that's very
I
interesting.
can
That's
share
I
I
find
can
that very
share the
interesting because they could
emails.
be. Oh, sorry. They
No,
could
go
have
on.
like a list of women. They could have a list of women that are on their email groups and see them as potential targets.
Yeah, probably.
Hmm.
Probably. Uh, so can you please again talk about your petition, the first petition that you created, Gadget, please? I
Yes.
wanna.
So right now, the real focus is really for the social media companies. So again, the
Mhm.
big recruitment for this program, the real world, is social media. So these young guys in the program are being instructed to make videos, posts with links, and they can get a commission if other people click their links and join. And the YouTube I find very interesting because Google, which is the parent company, or the same parent company owns YouTube,
Mhm.
removed the app. They were happy to remove the app, but when it comes to the amount of content, because there would be thousands of videos, with affiliate links for
Mhm.
people to join. Um,
Yeah.
they just will not take it down. They won't do it. They won't. So it
Mhm.
seems to me very, very a very profit-based decision. So it's one thing taking an app down, but these videos for YouTube that are getting so many clicks, um,
Mhm.
they're much more reluctant to take it down, which is pretty disgusting because it's putting children and
Yeah.
obviously the messaging and that's going out is hurting a lot of women, of course, or girls at school or female teachers at
Yeah.
school that are having to deal with this that I've spoken to, um, just for them to get some extra clicks in a $1 billion or whatever it is company. So it's yeah,
Yeah.
pretty poor, and
It,
I'm
it
I'm
hurt.
looking at what avenues to get them backed.
Yeah, I believe that it hurts society as a whole, right? Everybody. It hurts everybody. Like, for example, these girls that were uh sex trafficked, or no, as I always followed you guys on Twitter, and uh you know, they were completely, how can I say, they stole their money, and their time. These girls' times are never coming back. Uh, Imagine the memories they have. Like, imagine how traumatic some of them, as we managed to see on the internet. Some of them don't even realize what's going on with them. Like, they have some. There was one of his. I believe that it was on one of the girls that he called his bottom bitch, that he used to that she made some videos saying, "Oh, almost I see a man that a girl that she almost died," or something. Like, she doesn't even know what she's going through, the violence.
Mm, just severe brainwashing. Like she thinks that's normal, or yeah,
Yeah,
just something you say casually on a stream. It's
yeah. The,
disturbing.
the girl that the girl that he slapped the hell out of her while having sex. How is that a loving relationship? She doesn't even know what it is a man to love her, and I don't know if she can ever have that experience in her life, because uh the damage is so big, you know in my opinion,
Well, the
that I
the
don't know
woman
that.
the woman you're referring to got with Andrew Tate and has been in this system since she was 14, 15 years old. So it's very
Yeah,
deep, the psychological hold that he has on her.
very,
Mm.
very deep. Like, she doesn't know what it is to be loved. She doesn't know self love, probably. All I don't know, like.
Okay, there's a few points I can emphasize that with what happens in the real world. So guys in the real world, they will be kicked out. So they could be paying $50 a month. You're going to get rich. Sorry, you're kicked out. If you talk
Yeah.
bad about Andrew Tate, if you network, so you're not allowed to, for example, network with the other members of the real world, pass on your phone number. Um, so that's forbidden. You're not allowed to watch the media because the media is the matrix and it's fake news.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many
So, for
freedoms
example, us on
do they lose?
sorry, what was that? Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you, Gadget. How many
Yeah.
freedoms do these people lose when they join the real world?
Well, when you look at the way that Andrew, and it's very well documented in the testimonies of the women, how he isolates them and um, use certain messaging to get them under his control. He does very much the same thing to the men and boys in this program. They're encouraged to
Oh wow.
isolate themselves. Yeah, they're encouraged to isolate themselves, move away from their parents. Um, uh,
Jesus.
any people that if people are saying what you're doing is bad, or Andrew Tate's bad, or that they're saying these people you just need to cut them out of your life. Um, and
Mhm.
it's just a very slow. It's a very slowly crafted, I guess, mental state they get them in by from the moment they start watching Andrew's videos that he's telling them you're a loser, you're brokey, and
Mhm.
the world is going to end. Everyone's trying to take all your freedoms away, and the only way you can escape this is by being in the real world and then the war room. So it's very yeah, very much a cult.
They
Very much, it's not. I
they
don't think it's cult like. I
the
believe it's cult.
it is. They mentally trap people, you know, not only women that we have been witnessing, you know, but they totally these people lose their freedom, you know, their freedom of, oh, I can choose not to like him. No, you have no choice to like to not. It's not a choice. You know, you're gonna pay. You're not gonna get a refund. Nobody's gonna pay you back, right? You're gonna pay, but if you talk about him, if you say anything bad about him, you're out. You lose your value, right? And imagine how many people are out there in this, in this mentally, and I can even say spiritual, because what happens to your spirit when you join something like that, when you can't even express your opinion about something? Oh, I don't know, like Andrew Tate is wearing this short that is ugly, and you say, oh, that's an ugly short. You can't even say that. Oh, I don't like the color of your Lambo, for example. And by the way, those are not his Lambos, as he claimed, right? So
I don't
funny
like the
that
color of
he went,
your Bugatti.
yeah,
Mm.
your Bugatti, like, oh my God, you're out. Imagine that's the level of narcissism right there is goes beyond the roof, right? Can you imagine that you're paying for uh repeating? Imagine that you can't watch the news for real. My goodness, the Matrix.
We might interact with these people on online, or yeah. Well, when
Yeah,
we interact with these people on Twitter and online, and we're thinking like, what, they don't even know what is going on or what the charges are, not just from their friends and family eventually, but from any news and what's really happening in this case, and like deliberately through design, and
yeah,
what they hear is what Andrew Tate says, which yeah, they're just, the Matrix is out to get me, and they're making things up, and there's no victims. They're just making up victims and all sorts. You can hear me? Okay. I have a lot of interactions
yeah.
with these guys on Twitter and online as well, and it's I might have the odd back and forth with some, but it's really, I try to open with a place of empathy, because if
Mhm.
it can be very easy to say, oh, all these Andrew Tate fans, they're misogynists. Let's just block every single one of them. That when we really understand the
Mhm.
scale of this, I don't see that as an option. There's a big re-education and almost reprogramming, I think, needed with these guys, where we need to really understand that a lot of there might be some that the way I see it is, there's
Yeah.
some types of Andrew Tate fans that think, oh, sex trafficking, that's awesome. I want to do that.
Yeah. Several of them.
Maybe not them, but a lot of these
Yeah.
guys aren't bad guys. Like you said, they're vulnerable, they're poor.
Possessed.
Yeah, yeah, and they're not even dumb. Like, you think, oh, they must be dumb people for that. I've spoken to some very smart guys that have been caught up in this and realized what happens and got out, and they're good guys and they're smart and they're intelligent. So we really need to try to understand that and be empathetic, because I'm very concerned about the aftermath of all this when it eventually falls down when they, I believe, go to prison.
I can speak for myself. My experience in the manosphere, you would think that they're dumb, but I wouldn't consider them dumb. I would say that they're very ambitious and they honestly, they really connect with Andrew Tate, you know, especially when they know that it's, oh, this is human trafficking. Okay, I don't care. Like, excuse me. There's a moral thing behind it. There's something there, that you can't ignore. It's like you're taking away another person's liberty, another person's freedom of thinking, even like of not even speech, because speech is over, but you can't, God forbids if you think different, you know. So it's very clear that they get this herd, you know, of people and redirect them because they, these people are used to have this, these messages in their heads like, oh, do this, follow this, and then they simply redirect them to their own gains, to their own profit. I'm not saying about the women that they exploited, but the market, because the main problem I see, and not only them, but the entire manosphere, is the market. It's men, because the manosphere is uh men how can I say, there's a word that's missing for me now, a vulnerable man. They're everything is designed for vulnerable men, or men that are in a vulnerable situation in their lives. Most of the time it's against women, but they put this in a whole different level when they reach these kids from 12 to 18 years old, don't you think, Gadget?
Yeah, that it's definitely it's definitely it's a big problem. Like these stories we see, and some people might scoff at them, like, "Oh, this is must be rubbish." About, say, female
Uh-huh.
teachers saying, "Oh, these boys won't even listen to me," or they're refusing to do work for me because I'm a woman, and saying, "Get in the kitchen." This is happening. I've spoken to teachers and um,
Mm-hmm.
all over the world. This is happening. So, and one thing I think, because a lot of my content and videos at the moment is directed really at some of these guys. I try to talk to them. I think they need um, some man-to-man talks. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, yeah. So maybe if I can speak to them for a minute. Um, one thing that we really need to start recognizing is, okay, so someone like Andrew Tate and a lot of these people, like, say, Fresh and Fit, and these people, they're very loudly and confidently telling you everyone's weak. They're trying to make you weak, and I'm going to make you strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we listen to their message, the actual core and crux of their message is really weak pussy stuff. um, because what it really
Yeah.
is, okay, is okay, so the whole world, everyone's trying to demasculate us, make us weak. Everything's hard for men. It's so much easy for girls. Um, it's
Mm-hmm.
just really weak victim mentality messaging.
Yeah.
That to any guys that might hear this, I say, please know this is not strong. This is not strength. This is very weak, and it's trying to scare people and turn us into pussy little victims so that we can give them $50 a month. It's really what this is.
Yeah.
So, for example, like, if any if any guys are at school, it's like Andrew's going to try to tell you that uh, one trans kid in your class is going to turn you into a little fairy. It's they're just trying to scare you. Okay, so it's just, yeah. A lot of these messages, but what the difference between saying I'm strong and I'm teaching people to be strong and actually listening to what they're saying, it's two very different things.
They are doing the exact opposite because, as I said, they need uh followers. They need these cult followers. They need this mentally blind people, these thoughtless people, to go after them, to follow them, to give their money because that's how they make money. That's their grift. So it's mind blowing that 12, 18-year old boys are in this now. And I don't know. I think they created a massive problem to the world. And I'm not even talking about, you know, this misogynistic message and, oh, everybody. That's, in all honesty, I don't think that's the main problem. I think the main problem is the consequence to these men, as you said, they are turning them into these pussies, into this victim mentality pussy guys. I think that's the big problem right
Mm,
there. You know, because when you have that mentality, how are you gonna face the world?
yeah. One a recent stream of Andrews, so one of his most recent emergency meetings. So it's just really dissolved to the point where he's telling it again, mostly these underage kids, that
Hmm.
um, you need to
Imagine.
join, you need to sign up to the real world because they're trying to kill us. They're trying to depopulate the world with vaccines and with whatever other things he said. So it's like they're going to kill you and your bloodline, so join the real world. Like this is what, again, it wasn't always this extreme. It's devolved. I think he's getting more desperate, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's yeah,
probably.
just really fear mongering. It's what it is.
Yeah, yes, it's fear mongering, and and they're not making these people like be better, and I can say that he's an example, like, as a he was always this, oh, he's a god, he's a G, he has these several Lambos that are not his. He has all these women that are all they're not there by their self because they want to. They're there because they're mentally trapped there in this power play game that he creates. Uh, that's not power. That's very, very weak, and from this guy, this image of this guy, I have everything, blah, 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 that I want. He went from, oh my god, the Matrix caught me. What the hell? Really? What the hell? The Matrix caught me, Gadget. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, this is where we are now. Hey, yeah,
Oh my
it's
god, like,
just
can you go on?
sorry. Oh, I was just saying it's just very silly, and it's just the concern, and where I'm kind of keeping a bit of an eye while I'm pretty busy at the moment, is on all the copycats and the people that will want to make money the same way that Andrew has. It's because it's already happening and it's going to happen more and
It
more.
is
The more it's
already
allowed to,
happening.
the more it's allowed to, it'll keep happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the people that are with him know that. The people that are with him do that. The people that are with him already profit from that. So, and they're sharing this knowledge, you know, and it's all over the place. So yeah, there are many. As I said, they created a big problem to the world, and we are going to see a lot of Andrew Tates out there, and it's terrible. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that this is happening in a time and age where we have the information out there. Don't you think, Gadgets?
Yes.
Oh,
And that's where this is probably a good time for me to plug my petition for the real world, because it's very much a bigger picture, and what my focus is on more than Andrew Tate.
Okay.
It's on, yeah, the whole online discourse and what's happening at the moment. It's very dangerous, and it's
It's very
like I said, I'm
dangerous.
really
Very.
focusing on, yeah, it is. I'm really focusing on the social media companies at the moment, and um, there's gonna have to be systems in place to make the social media companies and all these other platforms that have allowed this
Yeah.
to get to this point, not let it
Yeah.
happen again, because they will let it happen and turn a blind eye until they absolutely have to.
Yeah, that's true. Hello, Murder by
I
Crayons.
think so. Yeah.
Gadget, can you
Oh,
send
that'd be
Crayons
crayons.
the crazy in the chat? Can you send him on
Can he
Twitter
join?
the StreamYard
Yeah, I'll send
link,
him a
please?
link.
Send him the link if he wants to join. It
Absolutely.
would be a pleasure to have him. I can't do that because I'm on my phone, and if I leave, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna read her comment here, or his comment. I don't know. There are people who changed their lives because of him. There are people who wanted to suicide and change their mind to live because of him. As a man, he's a great man,
I guess if I can say
right?
something to effortless error, because I
Please.
know, yeah, because I know a lot of people will say the same. Okay, there's lots of things that I don't like about Andrew's message that you might like, and you know what? That's cool. Um, but if he, let's just to say, if you've listened to Andrew Tate and it's helped you go to the gym and be more confident and get positive things out of it, awesome, fantastic. Um, but be aware of, there's a very likely chance he's done some very bad things. There's very strong evidence of it. So the more this comes to light, if you are very shocked by what you see that it's likely he's done, um, don't let him take away any positive effect he's had on you. For example, if you learn more and see what's happened to Andrew Tate, don't let that discourage you from going to the gym or whatever positive things he got you to do. Um, that's all I'll say, because there's going to be more and more information come out. So
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
say that I'll say that to anyone that feels like they got something positive from Andrew, because I know there's a lot that do.
That really gets me, because it's a healthy habit. How this advice, like go to the gym, like come on, right? Everybody knows that. You don't need to know and to take that there's something you should do. Even your doctor tells you that, right? It's not something. It's not
Sure.
like mind blowing, right? Gadget.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think James put it well in the chat. That are my thoughts on it. There's plenty of people that say some positive things like going to the gym or have motivational quotes that don't traffic women into sex work or have sexual assault claims continuously going back for the last decade, or recruit 12-year-olds to pay $50 a month to recruit other 12-year-olds to pay $50 a month. So,
Exactly.
um, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's where I say, yeah, look, take the good things, but really look at what's really happening. Look at just how much he lies, for example. So that's what I'd
Yeah.
say to effortless error. There is no man lies to their, I want to say mates because I'm Australian. No man lies to their mates continuously. That's weak. That's pussy. That's not.
Yeah.
This man just continuously. You're his fan, so he's talking to his fans. He continuously lies to his fans and insults them in that way. So
Yeah.
so I'd say look at the videos that show him lying. Look up Milk Bar TV and look up Andrew versus Andrew or Andrew Tate lies. It's just not even questionable that he's continuously saying just crazy lies, like just things that you
Yeah.
can Google in 2 seconds and see that it's a lie. And then think, what else is he lying to me about? And then think, like, if I had a friend that was just lying to me every single time I talked to them, would they be my friend? I wouldn't have a friend like that. So if he helped you go to the gym, fantastic. But really think and look at what the man is saying and what the man's about and what the man's accused of and the evidence of it that's available to the public already.
That's true. And it's like that's a very gamma male energy right there. Like, excuse me for saying this, but it's very small dick energy. Because if you have to lie, it's true. I swear to God, like it's
Yeah, it is. I agree.
it's a small dick
It's not being a
energy.
man. That's not being a
Excuse me.
man. That's being a child. That's being a
Exactly.
child.
That's not. Oh, Crayon is here. I'm gonna add into our talk.
Oh,
Okay. Yes. Hello, Crayon. Glad to have you here.
Hello, thanks for having me, and I apologize in advance for the audio if it sounds bad. I'm using my Bluetooth earpods, so I don't know how well
No,
the microphone is coming through. Does it sound
nope.
okay?
That sounds perfect. I don't know about my sound. I know I have some issues with this headset that I'm using. So if you have some buzzing, guys, please let me know so I can mute myself, okay, and try to fix this. I'm very glad. My God, like, thank you so much for being here, Crayon. I'm loving this talk with Gadget because for those who don't know, I met Crayon on Twitter Spaces, and Crayon is the guy that's Crayon is part of this crew of guys like Gadget that are going very, very hard on Andrew Tate. And they're doing this impressive and amazing job, as everybody could hear from Gadget. He managed to take down their their apps from Apple and Google Play because they are very, very damaging. And congratulations, amazing, amazing thing to do there. As I said, you are the guys that are doing the things. They're going after this crazy and horrible and evil thing that is Andrew Tate. And Crayon is the guy that is explaining everyone on the internet about the Romanian documents that all about of the Romanian persecution, or I don't know if that's the correct word, but the Romanian accusations against Andrew Tate. So yes, J-Toho, we have Spectre Gadget here, and we have Murder by Crayons, which I call Crayon. So Crayon is the guy. These guys are very, very, very smart because, one went after one thing, the other is doing this whole thing, and they're doing this amazingly. So please, Murder, say a little bit about yourself here. Go on.
Well, I don't want to talk about myself, but I'll just say there's an entire team of people who are working, not getting paid for this. Everybody's just trying to get the truth out there, because these guys are getting into the heads of young men and giving them a really. I understand they're doing some positive things as well, doing some positive inspiration, but they're also sending a real negative message at the same time. So concerned
Pretty
parents and
much so,
concerned
yeah.
people and just good humans are, trying to bring our resources together to get the truth out there. And I came in on the conversation when you were talking about, if Tate is a man or
A,
not. And
a
I
great
I
man,
believe,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
this let me just say right out of the gate that good men do not exploit women ever,
I agree with
ever,
that. Totally. Completely
ever.
agree with that.
Yeah, ever. There was a YouTube video that I shared from a cowboy has a YouTube channel called Dry Creek Wrangler School. His name is Dwayne, and he said it best. He made a video, and the video title is something along the lines of "The Loudest Man in the Room." I think that was the video title. And the video is he's just sitting in a barn talking, and he said it so well. The loudest man in the room is not the strongest man in the room. It's always the weakest man in the room. And he was talking about
Exactly.
how Andrew Tate's the loudest man in the room, saying that he's dangerous. Yet dangerous men don't have to tell you that they're dangerous. And what it,
Exactly. They will never say, they'll never
yeah,
tell you they're dangerous. Never.
and
Never.
what And he was talking about Andrew, and one of the things that he just nailed it, and I agree with so much. He says that Andrew Tate and I'm an older male. I'm in my 50s. Been around the block a few times, able to identify the same thing that Dwayne is able to see in Andrew. He said that Andrew has crippling insecurity. And I agree with that 100%. He puts this display out of being this alpha male, secure. I'm living life my way. Ha 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 ha. You're talking about Tate, ha ha ha. All I see is a man, and I agree with Dwayne here, with crippling insecurity. And
completely.
Those of you who are listening to this live or in the replay, if you're a little bit younger and you're looking up to Andrew, remember this conversation when you get a little bit older, maybe into your 40s or 50s. You're going to look back as a man and look back at what Andrew Tate was at this time, and you're going to go, wow, wow, what an insecure piece of crap that guy is. And you're going to be a little bit embarrassed that you fell for his shenanigans. But let me say this: I'm glad if you got something positive out of his message. I'm glad that happened. But you need to come to terms with the fact that he's not one of the good guys.
Yeah, completely agree with you, Crayons. There is this question: what damaging things has Andrew Tate said specifically? I think his message is damaging by itself.
Yeah, let me jump in on this for a second. There's a couple of different ways that Andrew has been shown to people. Some people have found him on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts or YouTube videos, and it's important to understand that when you join the Real World, the program that people pay to join, just recently they've changed it, but previously, before the arrest, before the app was taken off the store, all of those videos have been curated by people that were inside of the affiliate campus, inside of the Real World. They were incentivized to make those videos of Andrew and flood the markets with them. They were getting financial incentivization to actually do that. So that big wash of video content that started with Andrew, that made him popular, and that you still see out there, the majority of those are coming from students inside of the Real World who are getting who are getting financial incentives to actually make that content and spread it. And a lot of them are even given videos and clips and photographs, which I've put a lot of this on my Twitter account, where we got access to we got access to all of the promotional content that they were giving students. So they were giving them specific clips and specific videos and specific photos. They even have photos of their dead father or their father's grave that they give the students to try to make these sympathy videos. So, so all of the, so here's what the Tates are. The Tates are very well coordinated. They're great at marketing.
Yeah.
They know their demographic. They know how to reach them. They know how to communicate with them effectively. And they gave the affiliate campus the right tools to promote them, to make them incredibly famous. Now, a lot of young men resonated with a lot of what's being said. So to answer your question, Will, to answer Will's question, I see him in the chat right here. A lot of that messaging is not bad, but a lot of the messaging was. There are clips, and they'd love to say, oh, that was taken out of context. Well, those clips were given from Andrew to the students. So nothing was taken out of context. The clips where Andrew says things like women are stupid. I know we're not supposed to say that, but women are stupid, right? Those sorts of clips. They weren't taken out of context because Andrew himself gave those clips to the students to promote him. We are not clipping those. Those were given to the students. We're only using the videos that the students were using. It was given to him or given to the students by Andrew. So he's got plenty of videos where he speaks down towards women, says that they're stupid, says they're lazy, says they're incompetent, so on and so forth. That is a damaging message to send to 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old boys who are still forming. Message. It's a horrible message. Young men are still they're still developing. And when you have somebody you look up to and they're planting these seeds in your head, that's damaging. Specifically. Now, you have another side of Andrew where he sells courses. And again, they took these courses offline once they got arrested. He sold courses on how to manipulate women into sex work. He was teaching young men who were buying the course how to manipulate women into online sex work. Now, 3 of his students have already been arrested and charged for human trafficking. They followed Andrew Tate's ways of finding women, manipulating women, and getting them to work online through the lover boy method or through force or intimidation, coercion, however they did it. 3 of them have been charged with human trafficking as well. So his method taught human trafficking. So in terms of
Yes.
what damaging things as he said a lot of damaging things, and he sold courses teaching young men how to manipulate women into sex work.
Yeah. That's
If
very, very damaging.
It's very damaging. Now, I'll say this. If he would have never said women are stupid, women are lazy, women are incompetent, etc., that would have been great. If he would have never sold a course on how to manipulate women, that would be great. And if he only focused on the positive things, if he would have only focused on 100% positive messages, he would probably not be in the situation that he's in right now. And he would probably go on to be a huge male role model for men. But he blew it. He completely blew it because the other side of the Tates is really dark. And they built their
Yeah.
fortunes on exploitation.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. He completely blew it. And then that's the thing, like the even their positive message is bad, because the positive message that they are using is a way to trap people, is a way to attract these people. So even their positive message is damaging because it will lead people to this horrible thing. They will either be exploited, financially exploited, sexually exploited, you know, or they are in the situation that they are arrested because they followed his steps. They are, imagine, 3 of his learners, of his, you know, of the people that he trapped are now in the big trouble. Now they have to, they have to hire lawyers. They were arrested, because they really believed that was the message. They honestly thought that was the right thing to say, because, oh, women are lazy, women are da, da, da. And then where are they now? Who worked for them? The lazy women made them money, right?
One of the students, I believe it was either science or math. He excelled. He had scholarship possibilities for it was either mathematics or science. He was a top
Mm-hmm.
tier student, and he got sucked
Oh
into
my God.
Andrew's. He got sucked into Andrew's message, and now he's been charged with human trafficking. He had his entire life set in terms of being able to go to the university, great
Uh-huh.
student. He was doing all the right things, and he got sucked into Andrew's whirlwind of destruction, and now he's been charged with human trafficking.
Yeah,
So
there you go. And what is he gonna do? Like, he's gonna spend time in jail. Now he has this criminal background now. Congratulations, man. Congratulations, dude. You have a criminal background now. You could not have that. Now you do. Now you're going to spend some time in jail with these very nice people. They're going to love you. They're going to tell you very nice things they did, and they're going to share that with you. Imagine that, Crayon. Can you imagine that, Gadget? Come on. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. So, and I think that really goes back to Crayon's point, because as far as how he's blown it, because the guy is insanely entertaining, like, and charismatic. It's why he is where he
He
is.
is.
Like, if he, despite his online army pushing out his videos, if he was just a, I don't know, uncharismatic or just a weak speaker, no one would have cared. It would have been a waste of money. Um, so I think that just emphasized Crayon's point that the guy could have been um, one of the richest influencers in the world and online personalities in the world, and maybe toe the line of being too controversial or whatever, and not traffic women. Um, So
Yeah.
that's the one thing. If I do compliment him, is that he is just insanely confident speaker and entertaining and charismatic, and that's something that's very powerful that can be used for good or evil. So that's, and obviously he's taken the latter option.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me. I want to go back to a couple of negative messages that he has put out there to young men, and I see the young men saying this over and over. Andrew has said repeatedly that depression isn't real. Depression isn't real. It's all in your head. Yeah, well, clinical depression is a real thing. It's scientifically proven that clinical depression exists. Don't
Yeah.
confuse the difference between being blue, like, ah, man, I didn't get the promotion. I'm really down. That's not depression. There's actual clinical depression that it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. That is a very real thing.
Yeah.
Just eating healthy and going to the gym is not going to fix a lot of that, right? So
True.
telling children that depression isn't real, I think that's a bad message to kids. And while it is true that the world is changing rapidly and a lot of college degrees are becoming worthless, there is truth to that. But he pushes
Mm-hmm.
this whole idea of don't go to the university, you're going to waste your money. Join the real world instead. I'll teach you how to make real money.
True.
Here's the problem with that. There are a lot of professions that require you to go to the university.
Yeah.
You know, you doctors, lawyers, engineers. The list is long of the type of education you need to get at a university. And then when you join the real world, they teach you about copywriting, which, okay, copywriting. They teach you about social media. They teach you about how to use AI and social media, how to generate images with AI or make video with AI or how to do copywriting with AI. Then they do have some financial academies, such as how to trade crypto or forex or how to invest, that sort of thing. So I think the ideas are good, but I think the messaging is
Mm-hmm.
bad. I think the message should be go to the university if you're planning on going to the university, but if you want to learn some additional skills, we have these skills to offer you at the same time. So planting that seed of don't waste your money trying to get a higher education, like I think
Mm-hmm.
it's wrong to tell children not to do that. If they have plans to do that, go do that.
I
Go
totally
go to the
agree.
university. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you were planning to go to the university, go to the university. But don't throw it away to follow Andrew's The Real World course, thinking that copywriting is going to build a career for you. It might for
You
1%
won't.
of the people. Yeah, for 1% of the people or less, it might. But everybody, here's the thing: the the skills that he's teaching you in there are very easy to do for the most part. Everybody's
Yeah.
doing those skills. You can find this information for free on YouTube in
Yeah.
abundance,
You don't have to
and,
pay for that, right?
and you don't have to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
So
You don't have to join a cult,
yeah,
to learn
so
that.
yeah, I know Gadget's covered this a lot more extensively than I have, but they do things inside of the real world, like they go into what's called war mode, where they push sleep deprivation on the kids, right? Work, 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 work,
Mm,
work, and they push sleep deprivation. Um, so
Jesus.
there's all these things that they do in there, and I don't have a problem with it if the students are all over the age of 18. If you're over the age of 18, man, you do whatever you want to do. You're an adult. The problem is the majority of their students are minors because you can see the kid. I joined it to see what it was all about. The kids in there are 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I don't know the exact number, but based on the ones who are talking and chatting and sharing their age, I would go out on a limb and say probably 80% of them, maybe more, are under the age of 18. That's where I have a problem
Jesus.
with it.
No, it's terrible. It's children. As we said prior, like they don't even have experiences, and they are being subjected to a horrible experience with this horrible person that is leading them to. It's not even a horrible person. It's this man that he's simply profiting over them. He doesn't care of the consequences. He doesn't care if these people are going to be like uh successful or not, if they're going to develop a skill or not. He just wants them to pay him, and he thinks he's adding value by sharing something to them, when he's not. Like, he's making these people slaves, and with a very young age. It's horrible, it's terrible. as I said, where are their parents? Like, how, do their parents agree to that? You know, my God, sleep deprivation for children that can damage, that can lead even brain developing damage. Because here's the thing, like the brain needs a certain time of sleep, especially when you're children and when they are teenagers, because the brain needs that to develop well. And the brain stops developing until the men and women usually in their 21s, 25 years old. So if they are from 12 to 18 years old, and during this time they need sleep. Teenagers, they sleep more and they need this longer sleeping time because the brain is developing. The brain is not only healing, it's growing. And the sleep is highly important for teenagers. So, and if you act directly on that, imagine the consequences of that.
So
It's
to expand on this a little bit more, Andrew has said in a video that the whole purpose of the real world, and of course he's changed his story now, but an older video says the purpose of the real world is to get young men making money so they can join the war room. And the problem with the war room is up until the point that they were arrested, it was primarily built around men figuring out ways to exploit women to make money off of women. So they were trying to pull young men into the real world so they could make money, so they could join the war room. And the war room price is now $8,000. It's been raised, and they changed. Once the Tates were arrested, everything has changed. They've cleaned up the real world. They've cleaned up the war room. They've hidden the chat rooms about PhD program and about the webcam and OnlyFans. So they've hidden a lot of that stuff because he's trying to clean up his image now. But prior to the arrest, the war room was primarily about exploiting women and finding ways to make money off of the women. And Tristan has a video, and I've shared that as well in my Twitter feed. Tristan has a video where he brags about having a young man. I think the man is 16 or 17 years old. What, the young boy? He's 16 or 17 years old. And Tristan is bragging about how he taught him in the war room how to get women on OnlyFans. So they have minors. They're teaching underage boys they're teaching underage boys how to exploit women into online sex work. Like, I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I think any decent person has a problem with that, because first and foremost, exploitation of people is enslaving people, right? And then women, because sexual exploitation of women is a crime. I believe worldwide, right? Maybe in some places it isn't, but most of the civilized places it is a crime, and it is a crime for a reason, because women are not objects to be sexually exploited. No, they are people. They have feelings. They have the right to have their own lives, to make their own choices, right? And not and not be like mentally trapped in a man's power play. As in I don't know if you were here, if you listened to the beginning, Gadget and I were talking about his bottom bitch. That girl, like, she's damaged for life. Like, how can you change that? There's no changing that, Crayon.
You must have been talking about Vivian, I'm guessing, or Yasmina.
Yes, Vivian.
He has a few of them.
Yeah, imagine, like,
Vivian we're talking about.
There's some information that's going to be coming out later on her. We're just trying to put it together. She's severely damaged. We've got some information we're going to put out on her later. I feel bad for her, but at the same time,
me too.
At the same time, he also put her in a position to where she helped him deceive and manipulate other girls. So, one, she needs to be charged. But at the same time, she's also a victim. So
Yeah,
that's a tough one, right?
and she doesn't even realize that she's a victim. She doesn't have the consciousness of that. Uh, she doesn't, as I said, like she doesn't know what love is. She
Yeah.
think it's funny that another man slap the hell out of another woman while having sex with her, and the other girl, Celeste, I don't know, like almost died during sexual intercourse. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell? You know,
Yeah. Well,
it's
I can tell you based on the information I've got on her, however bad that you can drum up in your head it is with her in terms of the abuse, it's whatever you can imagine is probably true. She's been through
yeah,
some horrific stuff with him. Yeah.
and she doesn't even realize how bad these things are.
Hmm. I
She
see a
doesn't have. Go on.
I'm sorry. Oh, I was going to say I see a question from Will about what do you think of those who consume his content for entertainment purposes or because he's funny? Listen, if you think he's a comedy act, that's fine. I still think it's bad that people give him platforms just based on the fact that he has such a history of exploiting women. I think he needs to be punished for his crimes before he's given platforms again.
Yeah,
But
and I think the people that consume his content for entertainment, it's a bit. I think there's a problem in there because if he was only funny, he wouldn't be in the situation that he is right now, right? We wouldn't
I mean,
see
it's.
so many
I
people
mean,
that were damaged by him.
it's kind of the same question of like, what do
Yeah,
you think of? Do you like to watch old Hitler videos and fast forward because you think it's funny to watch them? I mean, yeah, okay, I guess, but Hitler was a terrible person. But watching
yeah,
his videos and fast forward where he's just ranting where he's on meth, that yeah, it's entertaining, but like he's still a terrible person. He did some horrific shit.
exactly. He's responsible for the death of many people in the world, right?
Right, right. Yeah, but at the same time, he also made a bunch of inspirational quotes. Like if you go to Google and you say Hitler inspirational quotes, you'll find tons of inspirational things that he said. He inspired, he inspired countless amounts of
Yeah,
people. He built
true.
roads, he built schools, he loved dogs, he loved horses, but he killed
Yeah,
a lot of people. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, true.
Hmm.
Very
yeah,
true. Very true.
yeah.
Excellent point, Crayons.
He's not going down in history as the guy who built
Someone
roads and
who
built schools and loved dogs.
Yeah, true. Very true. Go on, Gadget.
someone who people thought saved their lives and made them feel a different way as well was Jim Jones until he got in the mood to kill himself. So
Yeah,
Oh
it's,
yeah,
yeah, cult leaders make people feel a certain way.
pretty much. Pretty much
yeah.
so. That's very true. And there are several other examples in history, right? I forgot the name of that guy that he was a wacko that and he brainwashed people to kill other people, and he was in
Charles
jail for
Manson.
God. Charles
Charles
Manson,
Manson.
exactly.
Yeah.
That was as well. That if and I can imagine if you see him talking and doing the weird shit that he would have done, it would be really funny. But yeah, he's not a good person at all.
There's a series on Netflix. I don't remember the exact name, but it's something about how to start a cult, I think is the name of it, or something along those lines. It's something about a cult. And it's,
Uh
I don't know,
huh.
maybe it's got 6, 7, or 8 series in it. And they go through and they talk about all these different cult leaders around the world. And if you watch, well, if you're not fully up to speed with what's happened with Tate, you might not catch it. But if you've been following Tate and you understand some of the things they're involved with, as we were watching it, I was like, "Oh wow, that's exactly what Tate does. Oh wow, that's what Tate does. Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's exactly what Tate does." Like he checks all the boxes when it comes to cult like behavior.
Yeah.
And if you watch that Netflix series, and if you're fully aware of the stuff that Tate's involved in, you'll be shocked at how many things they did that Andrew does. It's disturbing.
And we need to talk about this. We need to have this. to we have to scrutinize these guys. Can you because in mind it blows my mind that we have these guys telling men to not go to college, like drop college and go slave women. Like, of course they don't say it that way. They will never say like that, but that's what they do, and that's how that's it's there. The message, that message is there. It's not explicit, but it is there, right? It's horrible, you know.
Yeah.
So the manosphere is a shitty place. Like, even though they have this message, they'll go to the gym and all that, but it all revolves around exploiting women. There's no running from that. If you are watching the manosphere, if
The
you are
worry for
watching, excuse me,
oh,
Gadget.
sorry, there's such a delay. Sorry. Yes, I was saying the worry is that it is getting so much more mainstream to such a young audience. It's and the copycats are popping up. It's the doors that the Tates have opened. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of conversations from. Really, it's going to take a lot of conversations from men saying this is weak and this is not good and this is not what we need to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we need people like you guys. As I said, you're doing an amazing job. Especially Crayons, that he simply he translates everything to, in a language that everybody can understand. you know the Romanian documents, and Milk Bar TV as well. Like, the all of you guys are simply amazing, and we need to make you guys famous. That's my opinion. You know.
Listen, I don't want the fame. I don't want any of it. When the Tates go to prison, I'll probably delete this account. So, I
No.
this yeah, or I'll turn it over to somebody who wants to run with it. Yeah, full disclosure, I'm not really up to speed on the manosphere thing. I
Uh-huh.
because of my son, I was made aware of the whole Tate thing, and I haven't dug too deeply into a lot of these other guys, so I can't speak confidently on what's going on there. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, when the Tates go to prison, I'll either turn this account over, or I don't know. Maybe I won't delete it. I'll leave it up just because all the information's up there. But I
You
doubt
know,
I'll
I
post on it.
I would ask you not to delete that, because that information needs to be there, Crayon. It's your Twitter account is an amazing source of information, in my opinion, and you can delete that, because as Gadget said, there are copycats that are coming out. A lot of people, you know, uh, 3 of their students are already in a very good situation in jail right now, right?
Well,
And
okay. Let me
you
say. Let me
guys,
say this. Let me say this. Once the Tates are in prison, and then all the people that circle them are also in prison, then maybe I won't delete it. Maybe I'll just leave it up, because
okay,
I think
good.
we're gonna see. I think we're gonna start seeing a lot of arrests in the future from various war room members and other people who are involved in the Tates. So there's, without talking too much, there's a whole lot more that's gone on with the Tates behind the scenes. So I think we're going to see some arrests in the future, money laundering offenses, tax evasion, that sort of thing, from multiple people.
I'm really glad, and I do hope these people get arrested. And as I said, that information has to be out there, guys. So I would gladly share everywhere with everyone that I know, because I think it's my duty as someone that have promoted them, you know, as I did on my Twitter account. I used to promote these guys, and I need that. That's a big karma right there. So I really need to change that, because that's a lot of bad that they did to women and to men. I think the most affected are women are affected, but mostly the men that consume their medias, that consume their, you know, their courses are the main affected as well. They're most affected actually. The women that were affected are the women they exploited. But that we don't even have an idea of the amount of men that they have reached. So yeah, I think these people are highly affected. You know,
Um,
let's
yeah,
imagine there are a
absolutely.
lot of people out there that think they are great men when they aren't. You know, that's my opinion. So uh, I will always share your content and your fundraiser, and I sign to your petitions, Gadget. Crayons, I love.
Awesome.
I love that you're here. And you too, guys. Thank you very, very much. Gadget, do you have some final words, please?
Yes,
Gadget?
particularly for the fundraiser, I should get into and mention. So I mentioned briefly earlier. So this fundraiser is for 4 women in the UK. Back from before Andrew moved to Romania, and he lived in the UK. So the 3 of these women reported to the police one in 2014, one in 2015. Actually, before I get into this, I'll just say trigger warning as well. If anyone's finds it hard to listen to, I won't go into graphic detail, but if anyone finds it hard to listen to essay kind of things, please turn off now. Yeah, so these women reported to the police that Andrew essentially R-worded, tried to quote for YouTube, them and strangled and beat them. So they reported this to the police, to the Hertfordshire police. Now, as far as the evidence they had, there was at least in one instance an eyewitness. So there was a girl in the room who noted to the police that she was there in the room and matched what the other girl said happened. There is text messages and voice messages from Andrew to these women saying, I loved R-wording you. The more you liked you, the more you didn't like it, the more I liked it. I only choked you a little bit. Stop complaining. So essentially confessions. So
Yeah,
these women went.
let me add some. Gadget, let me
Yeah,
interrupt you.
sure.
I apologize,
Yeah,
but there's a very important part of that that needs to be said. The whole part where, I was just choking you a little bit, that sort of thing. He was choking her. He put his entire weight on her, so she couldn't fight him off, and she couldn't get his hands off of her neck, and he was choking her so hard she couldn't tell him to stop, while at the same time punching her in the side of the head. A professional fighter was punching this woman in the side of the head while choking her so hard with all of his weight on her neck, she couldn't tell him to stop or couldn't fight him off. Just he choked her so hard it ruptured the blood vessels in one of her eyes. So just wrap your mind around that type
yeah.
of violence.
I just choked it a little bit. Like, what would it be like choking for real then? Can you imagine?
Right.
It's
Yeah. And
Yeah.
look here. Look, I'm not going to kink shame anyone. A lot of women like to be choked a little bit, right? They like a little. It's okay, but you don't. But that's not how you do it. You don't choke them to the point where they can't tell you to stop or they can't tell you you're hurting them. That's not how you do it.
as far as I'm aware, there's always a certain point, and that
Right.
has to stop right there, right?
Right. Yes, you couldn't fight him off. If you're choking someone to the point that you can't fight them off and get them to stop, that's not kink. That's violence.
Again, completely agree with you. Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And I choked too a little bit. A professional fighter? What?
Punching
You're
punching her in the side of the head while doing it.
yeah, like it's 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 horrible,
And
horrible.
think about this. Think about how hard you have to be choked in order for the blood vessels in your eyes to rupture.
It's not a little, you know.
It's a
It's not a
lot,
little at all. It's a lot.
right?
Also with the
No.
punching, right?
Yeah. So
It's
yeah, like that's not
terrible.
normal.
It's insane.
And
No.
the crazy thing is, there are multiple stories that are similar to this from women who don't know one another. They don't know each
Yeah,
other and they have similar stories.
yeah.
He's
It's
a
his
Including the
he's a
women
pattern.
in
problem.
Romania, right? It's very similar between the women in the UK and Romania who've never met each other and are years apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Go on,
Yeah.
Gadget.
Yeah, sure. And I should, this is a good chance to combat, I guess, before I go into the specifics of the fundraiser, some of Tate's information that he puts out about this, or misinformation. So, one, a lot of the Tate fans, so Vice News reported on this back in January and played the audio recordings. So a lot of the talk about this is, oh, they just made AI. This is just AI. It's all made up, right? So one, this is back in 2015, 2014. AI technology wasn't quite as it is today. And secondly, if Vice News just went to some AI person and made a fake Andrew Tate and did a whole story that went global about Andrew assaulting these girls, Andrew would have sued them long ago. There's been no word from Andrew's lawyers, no lawsuits, no anything, and there won't be because it happened. Okay, um, so
No
these women
doubt
went to
about that. Yeah.
yeah. So these women went to the Hertfordshire Police in 2014 and 2015 respectively. From there, the process is for the police to hand the reports to the Crown Prosecution Service in the UK to decide if they're going to prosecute or not. The Crown Prosecution Service did not get this evidence in these files until 2019. They didn't hand them to them. So these women did what
Wow.
women are supposed to do, reported, went to the police very soon after. Not that it matters if women don't or don't feel they can. That's a separate thing, but they did. And it took 4 and 5 years until 2019 until the evidence was passed on to the people who decide what to do with it from there. By which time Andrew was in Romania and fled Romania
Hmm.
for, as he quoted, being able to do what he wants in the Me Too era, as he said. Um, so that's just a bit of context for the people who might have heard misinformation about this. Okay, these women, I have lots of contact with their lawyers and helping with their fundraiser. These women are real. Secondly, if you read people asking who are these people, what are their names, how do we know they exist, in any section, particularly in the UK, it's law that in any sexual assault case, it's law that they must be confidential and anonymous. And even Crayons was talking about the Jeffrey Epstein case. The girl was in his lawsuit as the lawsuit was happening, and prior to the lawsuit were Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2. So these women, I can guarantee with certainty exist, and they have names, but me or you or any of Andrew Tate's fans, we don't need to know their names. It's not our business, okay? So yeah, so after these files were passed to the Crown, it was just a whole mess. They refused to prosecute and said that the evidence didn't meet enough to be for a prosecution, I guess. After which there was a big apology made. So the authorities then apologized to the victims about how it was handled. So these women, especially, you think about how these women feel by going through all this and being ignored, just completely mistreated by the authorities in the UK, and then seeing this guy get so famous and then getting accusations of doing the same things that he did to them. not to mention being told repeatedly that they don't exist and they're not real people. It's a lot. It's full on. So these women need
That's
support and deserve
terrible.
support, and justice, really. So that's what this. Yeah. So the fundraiser is about a civil case. So and this is just because they were ignored and refused to even bring this to court, despite the evidence that I detailed earlier. So these women are, for starters, bringing a civil case just for some sense of justice. It's not about money. They've made that very clear. And also in the hope that a successful civil case will really prompt the Crown Prosecutor, the CPS, to do what should be done and bring this to court and make him answer for this in court. Okay, so also there's a petition for the Crown Prosecution Service, the CPS, to bring forward this prosecution, which it should happen. I can't imagine the case being more mishandled, really. So that's what the fundraiser and the other petition is for. And now I need a drink.
I
That was
think
lots of talking.
no, you can talk a lot, as much as you want. I think these women, they deserve more than justice, and it must be very, very horrible to go to the police, to bring evidence and not be heard, and not be, how can I say, being treated as if it didn't happen, as if, because it might have affected their life a lot. Only the violence against them, might have affected their life a lot, and the fact that what happened to them were not treated with the correct, how can I say, the correct way, or were not treated as it should have been, also might have affected these women. So yeah, I think this fundraiser, my bad, is very, very, very important to share and to talk about, and to make it famous also. So you guys can count on me on that, to share with everyone that I know. Crayons, please, some final words.
Boy,
You can take the time you want.
I have so many words. It's difficult to choose the ones
I love
that
it.
I want to. Yeah, I have so many words that I want to say. I'll say this. One thing that you can definitely see with Tate is you can see patterns of behavior. And I think this is one of the main things that you need to look at in terms of, well, could he have been involved in this sort of thing? And when you look at patterns of behavior and you look at, 4 women in the UK who are suing him for sexual assault, there are 4 women in Romania who the prosecutor found evidence that he trafficked them and sexually abused some of them as well. So, in addition to that, there was at least one woman who came forward on her own on Twitter and said that Andrew raped her. She has since come back and deleted that, and there's a whole reason why. That's probably going to end up in an entire Twitter thread. So the pattern of behavior is these women keep popping up in different countries who don't know one another, and he's done the same thing to all of them one way or another. So I think, when you look at the patterns of behavior, you have to say, okay, if it were one woman or 2 women, maybe not, but 8 women are now part of legal battles, and one of them another woman, a 9th woman, came forward and said that he raped her. You have to look at that and say, okay, he's into something. He's into something. There's a pattern of behavior here. There's a pattern of sexual violence. There's a pattern of behavior. There's a pattern of exploitation. So I think because of that, you have to step back from this and say, okay, even if he inspired you to become a better you have to look at this from a logical standpoint and forget the fact that he inspired you and look at his pattern of behavior. It's also important to note that out of the total victims in Romania, there are 7 victims in Romania between him and his brother, and 5 of those victims have given formal statements to the police. So when they say things like there are no victims or they couldn't find anyone to say anything bad about us, 5 of those 7 women have given formal statements to DCOT against the brothers in regards to the case. And the 2 who didn't were dating Andrew, have tattoos of Andrew's name on their body, tattoos like Tate owned, really big on them. And through his recorded jail calls, it shows that he was telling them how to act and how to make videos saying that he was innocent and they were not victims, etc. So even all of those rush of videos that came out when he was first arrested, all these women were popping up saying, "Oh, I know him. He's a friend. He would never do that. He's totally innocent." His recorded jail calls that were exposed and are now part of the case itself, those prove, and all the chat logs are in there. He contacted Luke, his cousin, to find all of those women and tell them what to say to make those videos. So they couldn't even find women to make videos for them without telling them to make videos and without instructing them what to say. Think about that for a second. They couldn't find a single woman to come forward and make a video on her own. There should have been an avalanche of women making videos on their own. There weren't. The only people who made videos in his support were people they found and told to make those videos. So I think that's really telling as well in regards to the things that they're involved in. And I think people are afraid of them. I think people are afraid to speak badly about them.
Totally. Totally. They're
Totally.
totally afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also know that they are currently under investigation for influencing statements because they were intimidating 2 of their current victims to change their story. They were threatened as well. So there's been threats of violence against victims. Their whole thing is intimidation and exploitation. That's how they've gotten away with this for so long. So
Yeah.
are they gonna receive justice? I don't know. You know, they're not billionaires as they claim, but they've got millions of dollars and they just might be able to evade justice. You know, I I'm
Yeah.
convinced based on the information that I've seen that they 100% committed the crime of human trafficking. I'm not going to comment on rape because I wasn't there. You know, I'm
Yeah.
going to believe the victim, but I don't know if there's enough to convict him. But in regards to human trafficking, there is a substantial amount of evidence that proves that they were involved in human trafficking. But lawyers make a lot of money by getting clients off. So
True.
the job of their legal team is to plant seeds of doubt inside the judge's head so the judge doesn't convict him. The judge has to be convinced beyond all reasonable doubt that they're guilty. That's the only way a conviction happens in Romania, and there's a single judge that makes that decision. So their legal team is going to be planting seeds of doubt so the judge can't come to that conclusion, while the prosecutor is going to be trying to eliminate those seeds of doubt that get planted. So it's going to come down to who's more effective, Tate's legal team or the prosecutor. So they might
Mhm.
walk from this. That doesn't mean they didn't do it. An acquittal does not necessarily mean a crime wasn't committed. It only means that the judge could not convict beyond a reasonable doubt. Doesn't mean the crime wasn't convicted. And a lot of Tate fans had this
That's true.
fantasy.
Yeah.
They have this fantasy, and I see it all the time where they say, "What
Pretty
are you going
much,
to
yeah.
do when the Tate fans love to message me and say, "What are you going to do when the judge says that they're not guilty or the judge exonerates them?" Yeah, that's not what's going to happen. They're either going to be convicted or they're going to be acquitted.
True.
Conviction, they're probably going to prison. An acquittal does not necessarily mean that the crime wasn't committed. It just means
Very true.
the judge just wasn't 100% convinced because the legal team planted some seeds of doubt in the judge's mind. That's all that means. But the
Yeah.
evidence is pretty conclusive. They were involved in human trafficking. I'll stand by that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, many people are afraid to come forward. I can say people from the war room. I know people from the war room, and they don't talk about it. And the main reason is because they probably have a lot of information on these people. about where they live, who are their wives, who are their children, where do the children go to school. So they know a lot of their, how can I say, their main market. And their market are people, and that's I believe the main reason people don't come forward, because they there's no reason to not be afraid, because they know these guys are violent. They show that, you know, they know these guys are powerful. They know these guys know a lot of powerful people, and not to mention that the Tates themselves, they made statements where they said, "Oh, I can have this guy dead or I don't know, beaten, whatever, with
End
just
up
one
in a ditch.
message."
You can end
Yeah,
up face down in a ditch. You
in a
can
ditch.
disappear. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they say those things.
exactly.
Yeah, they say those things. Yeah.
So they
I speak
intimidate people to come forward publicly.
yeah. I speak to a lot of war room members, and every single
Yeah,
one that I've had a conversation with, they're all afraid to say something publicly. That
all of them. Yeah,
any information that they give me has to be done confidentially. They have to, I've got to swear to them and give them my word. Their names are never going to be mentioned, and a lot of things they tell me, I can't actually repeat. They're just trying to let me know what's going on, so it might help me with digging. Right? Like,
yeah,
I'm going to give you this information. You can't repeat it, but this information might help you uncover additional information. And some of the information I'm sitting on is truly unbelievable. And all of those
yeah,
guys are afraid of them. Think about this for a second. We know that this happened to one of their victims when she wanted to quit. It's documented that this happened to one of their victims, and Georgiana and Tristan picked up additional charges because of it. One of the victims wanted to quit, and Georgiana illegally accessed her computer, got into her personal Facebook and her personal WhatsApp account, and distributed pornographic images of her that were shot for OnlyFans. Distributed those images, and I believe video as well, to her friends and to her family and to men that she was apparently getting some money from. And they sent that out to her personal Facebook and WhatsApp account, pornography, pictures of pornography of her. And then he did so in front of all the other girls, along with the threat that this can happen to you. So everything
yeah,
they do is based on intimidation,
yeah,
right? Like, that's how they operate. They threaten people. Tristan told one of the victims if she tried to leave Romania, that they would find her and bring her back. Like,
yeah,
they have these threats. They tell them they're always under surveillance. We're always watching you. We know everything that you're doing. If you try to leave, we're going to find you and bring you back. These are not
yeah.
good guys. So
Of
they
course
they
not.
do this to the victims. They do, inside the war room, the guys are afraid. They isolate the guys in the war room too. One of the things they do inside the
Yeah,
war room is they try to isolate the men away from their support networks, just like they did the women that they would exploit into sex work. Like, these guys exploit and manipulate everyone. It's how they
yeah.
operate.
It's how they operate. It's not only women.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct. And that's
Yeah.
why I support you guys, and it's my
Thank you.
pleasure to share everything. You guys, we can have this talk again any other time. If you guys want, please let me know.
Mm,
I love it. I would love to have another conversation with you guys here as well.
sure.
And I'm sorry this took a very long stream, Gadget. I don't know how are you feeling. I hope you're feeling well. And if you have any final words, I will
That's
I
okay. I
will
would have
go on,
I was just saying I would have
Gadget.
struggled to last as long if Crayons didn't come in to help, but so but
No
I'm good.
problem. Okay.
Well, thank you
And
for having me on. I appreciate it.
it's
Thank you
my
for the support.
pleasure to have you guys. It's my pleasure. I will share your Twitter accounts as well in the description of this video, because I couldn't I'm doing this the first time on my phone, so I don't know how to do this very well on the phone. So I'm gonna edit it on my computer later. So I'm gonna share everything on all of my social medias, guys. And I would love to have another conversation with you guys here because I think, of course, in the end of this, uh, in this I don't know, trial probably. I don't know how to say this correctly. I want to talk to you, Crayons and Gadget, because I believe there will be a lot of work to do after all of this as well, because it's not going to end there,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah, I guess one last thing I'll say is the Tate's legal team. They've caused the last two delays. The final stage they're in right now before the trial is called the preliminary chamber, and Tate's legal team have caused the last two delays. They're using stall tactics to try to drag this out as long as possible. And one of the
Okay.
things that they did, um, not the one they recently did, but the delay that they caused recently, and this was huge news that we didn't know about, was that DCOT has video footage from CCTV cameras outside of that victim's houses, and I believe from other houses nearby, that according to DCOT prove that the victim's movements were actually restricted. So when they were saying things like, oh, they can come and go whenever they
Oh,
wanted to, DCOT is saying we have video footage from surrounding CCTVs that prove that that's not true. Their legal
wow.
team has been sitting on this footage for, I think, 5 months. And then when they came to the preliminary chamber, only then did the legal team step up and say, we couldn't access the videos, they're encoded.
Huh.
So they're using all these ridiculous requests to delay. The last
Yeah.
one that they just did, the last one they just did, they said, we need you to get all of the chat messages together for us and put it together in a format that we can listen to.
What?
Yeah. So
Unreal.
now, so
The
yeah, so
text
now
message
DCOT
should be listened to. All right.
to be listened to. Yeah. So they're using all these stall tactics. So who
Yeah.
knows? This is just going to drag on and drag on and drag on and drag on. And who knows? They
True.
might be able to escape justice. We'll see. But anyway, thank you for bringing me on, Gadget. Always a pleasure as usual. And
Thank you.
anytime, I'd love to come back. Have a great one, everyone.
I want to thank you guys.
Always.
It's a pleasure. Go on, Gadget.
No worries.
Cheers.
Thanks, Carolina. Thanks, Crayons. Always a pleasure. Cheers.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
It was my pleasure. Hope to talk to you
Yep.
soon.
Yep.
Bye bye,
Obrigado.
everybody. De nada. Obrigada a vocês. Excellent. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.